45-year history with none other than the
Yes.
Mr. George Icorn.
Hi. And don't forget, Scott, you were the producer for the man who just made his wonderful comeback, and that's Dick Vitale. Scott goes back with me to the days when Dick Vitale just broke into radio. So hats off to Dick coming back. Yep.
Yeah, we have a great history with Dick Vitale for sure.
Yep.
And Danny had a chance to meet him up in Sarasota a while back.
Awesome.
Dickie and I talked, and Candy just stood there and took it all in. We got a bobblehead for late father. It was unbelievable.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome, baby. Awesome. And then, last but definitely not least, none other than, drum roll please, but Mr. Ralph Williams. How are you?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Candy, for the introduction. Guys, it's great to be here tonight, as always, live from 808 Studios in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I'm tired from all those intros already. Just kidding.
I swear, nobody puts more energy into those intros than you, Candy. I swear, those are good. I don't even do that good. Then again, that's why my brother Lonnie thinks you're better than I am. That's okay. He's entitled.
Well, see, Scott, you just had all this time. You just had to come over to the country club. That's all. What can I say?
Coming to the country club tonight. Next week, we have a busy agenda. In fact, before I turn it over to you, Candy, I want to also mention a programming note on Saturday. Sports Rap debuts that takes place at the External Bum Show. Ralph and I will be doing the show. We'll have a bunch of other people that contribute along the way. Felt it was necessary to rebrand from the External Bum Show. Who wants to call it a depressing show and call bums out? Really, seriously, let's talk some positivity. Let's talk about journalism 101. Let's talk about learning something instead of going out there and crucifying. Now the only thing I have to do with Ralph here, because he knows he's one of my best students in the program, is I have to make sure that this guy gets his commercials at 10 minutes after the hour and 15 minutes after the hour. And then that way we could go ahead and have a nice balance of sports talk in between. But don't worry, Ralph is the most coachable guy on the planet. And before I'm done talking, before it's all said and done, we'll make sure that he only has to put him in there twice an hour instead of 4 times an hour, so we can talk about that thing called the meat in the middle of the broadcast, right, Mr. Williams?
That's it. You got it, Scott. Thank you.
It's all about perfectionists. I have a different professor to pupil dynamic with you, Mr. Williams. You're doing a good job.
That's it.
So before we actually start the show, I'm wearing red for a reason, and I want to say this to all the fine gentlemen here on this program and all the people out that are listening to us. An early happy Valentine's Day to all of you.
I thought you were turning into a Chiefs fan.
No.
I want to wish everybody in happy Radio Day today. I want to wish everybody happy Radio Day.
There you go.
Right. It is Radio Day. Good, very nice comeback there, Ralph.
Yes.
Yeah, bad. There's hope for Ralph Williams after all.
That's right. You're exactly correct.
Oh, I love Williams. I'll tell you, he's one of my favorite people. And I'll tell you the one thing, one of the things he's learning to pick up, his Twitter account, by the way, people, is starting to pick up much more. And what I'm trying to get him to do is take a lot of the times that I tag him so he can come up with new topic ideas for the sports wrap on Saturday. So
Ralph,
I think he'll be able to do that.
With that being said, Scott, Ralph, what is your Twitter handle? Because everybody out there that's listening, I want you to
Ralph Williams, RW Media Productions. That is it right there. Ralph Williams, RW Media Productions.
Well, that's not on Twitter, stick to man. You got a bunch of numbers on there.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously? Really? You don't even want your Twitter? I'm going to make you remember that next week. Well, I know your number's over north of 150. That's all you need to know. Don't worry about it.
That's it. Well, it's up to 169 now.
Well, I said it was north of 150. I didn't know it got to 169. See, you get Ralph a few deadlines here, and this guy's going to, as the late Stewart Scott would say, Scott pulled out the whooping stick, and obviously Ralph Williams is taking it to 169.
At Ralph W177164 There you go.
Yeah, I knew there were a bunch of numbers in there. That's what I remember. So there you go. That'll be the one way he'll be able to promote it. And I don't know what's in front of you, Ralph. Is that a microphone or what it is? But
Yeah, that's my microphone.
Okay, well, that's okay. Do a little jiggle to the right so we can see you. Okay, there you go. All right, there you go. Got to make sure that he's.
There you are.
Yeah, that's much better.
Okay.
All right, Candy, go ahead. I don't take it over.
Scott, there were a couple of different topics that you wanted to cover. The first one I'm going to let you run with. It has to do with country star Zach Bryan.
Ooh. Well, read all the information, Candy. I didn't memorize it. It's all there.
Memorize it. Okay. He is actually going to play in Ann Arbor, Michigan Stadium on September 27th. The first ever concert to be held at the biggest stadium in the Western Hemisphere. The
Finally.
making show will include John Mayer as an opener, along with supporting acts Ryan Bingard and the Texas Gentleman and Joshua Sloan.
Joshua Dorr.
Yeah, right. You'd like to think that, but okay. We'll see if he's watching coordination. He'll watch us later on, but make it a river.
So what I would say to that is, I think that's why the Milwaukee Brewers and what is now American Family Field, they are actually going to make that field. They're going to put heat and air conditioner in there so that they can also use their stadium all season long and do concerts in there too. But good thing, the one thing I will say about when these stadiums host music stars is that they bring in a lot of equipment. So they just have to be very careful because the grass and the stadium floor, they just have to make sure that they don't damage it. But good, I mean, let's face it. The NFL is great at marketing their product. This is going to be a huge win for Michigan marketing their product as well and bringing money in to their facilities and stuff.
Well, keep in mind, one thing we should take note is that Manchester United played a soccer game there and drew an incredible crowd. We all know that Manchester United is a cream of the crop when it comes to soccer. I don't know what the crowds were. I don't remember off the top of my head. So the Michigan Wolverines have no problem luring in the biggest events on the planet with a stadium that seats over 100,000. And this concert move is just the latest thing the Wolverines are doing. And we said it earlier, the largest stadium in the Western Hemisphere. Why wouldn't they get it? The Wolverines just get it right.
The only thing I will say is it's not an indoor or a dome or anything like that. So having a concert there on September 27th, hopefully it's not raining, it's not cold, it's not windy, none of those factors because it is an outdoor stadium.
They've made all those arrangements already. It's not going to be any of those.
Great.
No, but my question is, why did it take so long of them to approve a concert there? Okay. Like Scott said, they've had international soccer there. They've had the what you call face off on New Year's Day. What do they call that game again?
Oh, you mean the Winter Classic?
Thank you. I thought
you meant the Frozen Four too.
Toronto, Detroit. Frozen Four, my friend, was held indoors at Ford Field, and I was there, Mr. Pensman. I think it's great. I think it's long overdue for the Ann Arbor and all those great students that attend that university to have a concert like that. I really do.
So my question would be, for having a concert there, does anybody on the panel, and I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm wondering if any of you do the proceeds, do they go to the university? Do they go to the sporting? Do they go to what? Do we know what they go to?
No, I don't know.
I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to take a guess. It's going to go to the transfer or the NIL.
But my issue with that is what part of NIL, because they're now ruling that like NIL is going to be separate from women and men and the different sports, and that's one stadium. And yes, it normally holds your football. So is it going to go into the football pool, or does it go into a general pool? Or that would just be my question. I mean, kudos to them. That's a great idea, but I just wonder where those profits kind of end up, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
I would think the school. That's,
yeah,
I mean,
I would think the Michigan athletic department and everything's going to pocket that money.
Yeah, that would be my guess too. That mostly athletics.
That's what I was going to say. Candy is to the program, the athletic program.
Yeah, that's where you say the rich get richer. Boy, they're going to get richer.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, George, it's not even football season, and Michigan already gets a W.
And I can remember years ago, Candy, you might want to keep this name in mind. Their athletic director named Don Canham, Canham, used to be a marketing whiz, is what he was many years ago when it came to putting the Wolverines logos on everything you can possibly do. So Canham for you, a lot of you Michigan Wolverines.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for remembering him. Yes, he was a great innovator. No question about it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
So it does say that the University of Michigan Athletic Department and multi-platinum Grammy winner artist Zach Bryan jointly announced today. Tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. for anybody that's interested. I'm just trying to look to see if they say at all.
Isn't there a country singer from Michigan? I thought there was, but I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Kid Rock's from Detroit. Kid Rock does some country. He's from Detroit.
That's right.
That's it.
Kid Rock.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ralph.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I'm sure it's the athletic department. I just don't know exactly where. But kudos to them. I think that's
what I was thinking. It was the athletic department, so they could keep doing what they need to do with their equipment.
Well, like I say, the rich get richer. The Wolverines, when it comes to making money, there's no university better than they are. I don't care what
That's it.
They need to get some credit. They finally got their program together. They finally got a football team together.
Well, the football team together. Don't sleep on the basketball program. And our number one, the Sports Exchange, Rod, George, and I talked about the job that former FAU coach Dusty May had done at Michigan. Team that was 3-17 in the Big Ten. Look where they're at now. They're on top. Candy did some research. Only 2 players remain from that 3-17 team. Otherwise, the rest of them, Dusty showed them the door.
Yeah,
their hockey team's fighting too.
Well,
yes, they are. They usually have a good hockey team.
Oh, their hockey team's always been good. Basketball team's been up and down. Football team, for the most part, has been pretty good.
Well, the football team this year did what they had to do. They won this year. I mean, they did some winning this year.
Yeah, in fact, some updated news on the Wolverines. While Candy goes through a lot of stuff. Wink Martindale, who we interviewed for a lot of the defensive coordinator positions, looks like he's going to be returning to Michigan for a second season. He's the one that orchestrated the game plan to stop the Ohio State Buckeyes, who subsequently went on to win the national championship. So you talk about Michigan beating Ohio State. Wink was the mastermind, and meanwhile, Ryan Day, go figure, he gets an extension of the national championship. He'll be fine for a while. Everybody will leave him alone. Got job security.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so let's move on a little bit to talk a little NFL. Deebo Samuels is interested in a Steelers trade. Thoughts?
Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what.
Come on.
I'll tell you what. Today there was a rumor, and I was going to ask Scott about this because he's tied in with the Jaguars. There was a rumor that the Trevor Lawrence to the Steelers for a first and second round pick, and the Jaguars pick up 4 years of his salary.
No chance.
I mean,
no chance.
No, it's not happening, Scott. It was just circulated rumor.
Rumors are rumors. I don't talk about rumors. One thing you're going to learn about Ralph when I drill you 9 million times over. Rumor to me is like an opinion. Everybody's got one. I don't even want to hear one.
Yeah.
Ralph,
I was just messing around.
Ralph, we're also linked to Aaron Rodgers and Trevor Lawrence. So
I know.
Rumors are rumors.
Rumors are rumors. Yep, that's it. It's going to be.
We don't want the old heads. We want the young. We want the young bucks.
Yeah. We don't need any of those guys. And Aaron Rodgers is a bad influence
And
to begin with.
he's recovering from a concussion. I don't want somebody that's wants like a 90% chance of getting a concussion in week 2, like Kenny Pickett.
Hey, Patty, we don't have an answer to what happened to Jeremy. He's been out of sight for a couple weeks. When you know something, please let us know.
I know nothing.
I don't know either. But don't start sounding like Sergeant Schultz, because although I should make Hogan's Heroes by the top of the hour, I think. Maybe.
Yeah,
you never know.
Or at least I'll get the last half an hour anyways, from 10:30 to 11.
Okay.
Candy, can I say something real quick?
Of course.
Anybody that's watching this later on after we're live, pay attention to what I'm saying. Kenny Pickett did win a Super Bowl, but he did not win the Super Bowl. He got to go in the last 50 or minute. That's it. He didn't take him to the championship.
So what? I won't even hear that.
Foles.
Pittsburgh gave up on a future friend. Wait a minute. Time out. I don't want to hear nothing. I got to put pins in his place. I love the guy, but wait a minute. Sick them head. You are sick them head. Here's the deal. He got traded over to Philadelphia. No, let me finish. I'm going to interrupt you all day long. Are you picking nuts? Really? He got traded over to Philadelphia. Philadelphia freed him to get him out of that situation in Pittsburgh. Now Pittsburgh back in the drawing board looking for a quarterback. They gave up on him quick. Mike Tomlin didn't want him. Got a Super Bowl ring. He's got one more ring than Dan Marino has. Seriously? Really? Doesn't matter how you get it. So what? Let me tell you something. Well, here, I'm going to give Pensman a history lesson here.
Okay.
Back in 1972, when you had the Miami Dolphins, the undefeated Miami Dolphins, Bob Greasy gets hurt. Who do you think takes his place? Earl Morrall. Backup. Okay. No, it isn't. You had a backup quarterback, right? Without a backup quarterback, you don't have to win. Backup quarterbacks are getting paid good money to go out there and carry a clipboard. I ought to know. I interviewed another one, Carson Wentz, at the Super Bowl. We'll be releasing that interview too. So Carson Wentz, to me, ended up winning a championship when he got hurt at Philadelphia. He was Kansas City. Backup quarterbacks are an unbelievable piece of real estate. And if that isn't good enough, I interviewed Case Keenum, and that'll be up on our network soon enough. I'm letting a lot out of the bag. I don't care. Don't give me the jargon about Kenny Pickett, Penguin. No way. I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid, man. He got a ring. He got as many rings as Mike Tomlin had. One.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I know. Okay. Glad you know.
But that would be different if Jalen Hurts was out with a concussion in the first quarter. Then Pickett played the whole game. He only played like a minute or two in the game.
He still got in the game, like Scott said. He still gets the ring, okay? He still gets the winning share, the big check from the NFL. The Super Bowl.
I know that. But everybody's like, "Oh, Kenny Pickett's got a ring. He didn't do much."
What are you talking about? He sat there and collected a paycheck for 18 weeks.
Anybody that's on the sidelines gets a ring. I mean, works for Philadelphia.
That's right.
They all get rings.
Yeah, he lasts an entire season. He's got a ring.
All right.
Let me get personal. Did you buy your wife a ring?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then she got a ring too.
Yeah.
I got my wife a ring. Of course, when I went to Biloxi, I ended up getting her a butterfly ring when I was doing pretty well over on the casinos. She liked that ring too. She didn't think that this ring ceremony would get her to the Buffalo.
That's my take.
Well, all right, you got your take. More power to you, Kenny Pickett, just as sticking in Penman's ear.
Since we're talking about Pittsburgh, Scott actually got to talk to none other than Juju Smith-Schuster, who used to be with Pittsburgh. And we've got, and I'm going to apologize to everybody now. Mind you, when he was doing this interview, we are in one big conference room, and there's probably 9 or 10 Kansas City Chiefs doing interviews all at the same time, talking and stuff like that. So the sound is not the best. It's kind of hard to hear Scott at times, but you can definitely hear Juju's answers. So bear with us and enjoy Scott questioning Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm sorry, what?
A little tongue teaser for you, right, Candy?
Just a little, yes.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm good.
I know there are a lot of Steelers fans that are keeping tabs on you. Tell me what it was like to play for the Houe.
Oh man, I do. He's a great coach, all around, pass act, professional, and playing against for a guy like him, it was more than just football. It was off the field. He cared about your family, he cared about what you were doing outside of the locker room, which is nice. And, he felt that care.
So, how do you feel that you're coming next with Pittsburgh? Did you really enjoy your time in Pittsburgh?
I did. I love it there. It's my first home, my first love. So yeah, I miss it.
Now we're here in Kansas City. You have a chance to be a part of the team. I get a chance to be a part of the can't honor the chance to be If you feel this is pretty neat for you to be part of something neat like that?
Yeah, I think it's pretty neat. Coming here it's a blessing. It's an honor to be a part of this, which is nice.
Andy Reid, how would you describe Andy Reid? Do you look at him as like a father figure, and how do you feel the way he handles his whole team in general?
Yeah, I mean, I can see him as a father figure to a lot of us on the team. He just cares. The love he brings is just so nice, and for a lot of us, when you, it's like one of those people where like you don't want to let down because they believe in trusting you. So going out there and doing your job.
Now, obviously, you're playing for the Super Bowl. What are some of the other highlights that you can feel pretty good about that you've had in your team thus far?
Pittsburgh, New England, here. Obviously, have an opportunity to do this book.
Well, that's great. Listen, I wish you nothing but the best of luck. I know you're a fine wide receiver. And obviously, one last thing that came to mind, how would you define this wide receiver group and playing with Patrick Mahomes?
Spontaneous excitement. You have different type of skills at wide receiver. And playing with Patrick, he's able to use this.
And you have Patrick Mahomes, Travis Scott, not a bad group to have you there.
Man, they're great. They're great groups.
Thanks all for your time. Appreciate it.
Scott, you want to talk about your experience?
Great guy. Who would want to root for a person like that? And as Pensman talked about, he had no ill will towards Pittsburgh at all. Pittsburgh's a great sports town. Mike Tomlin's a heck of a coach to play for. I that's what I had to say, but I want feedback from everybody else in the group, including you, Candy. Go ahead. We'll start off with Pensman. What are your thoughts about what you heard there?
I like how there's no blood between him and the Steelers. I'm glad that he still respects the team after what happened. And just to let you guys know, the Steelers couldn't afford him. That's why we had to get rid of him. So that's what happened in Pittsburgh. So that's my take on that.
What about you, Ralph?
Well, that's one of the reasons why. Some other things were there were some interesting rumors about his locker room demeanor. And there was also some interesting things about his social media stuff that he was posting. And, and Mike Tomlin sort of kind of let him get away with some of that stuff on social media. And it was causing a lot of rift, amongst fans and players alike and, on the team. I know that in Kansas City, it looks like he's shaped up his attitude because I know Andy Reid wouldn't put up with the stuff that he was doing here with Mike Tomlin. But, I'm glad to see that he's with the winning team like Kansas City. Good for him.
Thank you very much, Patty, for the kind words. Andy Prather, I like Juju when he knocked out that Thug Perfect. I like that one too, Eddie. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
And he learned how to block in Pittsburgh. So
yeah, Vontad's Perfect, one of the most dirty players I've ever seen, that's for sure. And
yeah.
Andy Prather was nice enough to bring it up. Vontad's Perfect. Everybody thought Ndamukong Suh was dirty. Ndamukong Suh was a saint compared to Vontad's Perfect. He was a cheap shirter. Turn over to George.
Well, I mean, you look at his stats and the great years he had in Pittsburgh. You guys remember 2018? Oh, yes. My God, 111 receptions, 1,426 yards, 7 touchdowns. Now, he's not the dominating wide receiver that he used to be. Of course not. I mean, when you look at, but he still contributed. He contributed second time now with Kansas City. I didn't know he was there twice. I was tripped up on that one because he was there and then he went to
New England and then he came back.
Yeah, and came back. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said for that. There's a lot to be said for the player that they want back. somebody that's positive, good influence, whatever. There's a number of reasons your need on the team offensively and whatever. But the fact of the matter is he did play with a good team and a good coach. And Scott, I really enjoyed your interview. You did a really good job.
That was a good interview.
I think that young blonde or redhead fella next to you was a little jealous because he was making some faces there. But hey, you were controlling that interview situation, Scott. I love it. It was great. And yeah, he had a lot of great things to say, like you said earlier about playing for Andy Reid too.
I live for this stuff. Eddie Prather, Antonio Brown didn't start having his issues until Perfect did that dirty hit on him. If it did, that Antonio Brown's career went down south, and he was a terror on social media, and it ran him out of the league. Eddie Prather did some real damage to AB. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. So go ahead, Candy. You were there. You saw me do it. What were your impressions?
So it surprised me when he was talking about Mike Tomlin. I've always thought of Mike Tomlin as a very tough coach, that he comes across as being very tough and can be more of a disciplinarian, I think, on the team. But when he said that Mike Tomlin goes above and beyond and gets to know you and your family and, takes a real interest in you outside of your job there. Because let's face it, when they're there for a job. It's a grueling job. It's a physical job. I was surprised, but yet I guess I'm not surprised because people want to play for people like Mike Tomlin. And so I thought it was really very respectful, to be honest with you, because let's face it, he's no longer in Pittsburgh. He's moved on. He's on a different team. And he's playing for another, what I would say, another Hall of Fame coach, because Mike Tomlin's going to be the Hall of Fame, and so is Andy Reid. Let's put it out there. So to play for some of the people, some of the best coaches, Hall of Fame coaches, and to give both of them the respect, he was just down to earth. And I'm going to say that about all of the interviews that Scott got and did. There is some great ones coming down the pipe from our time in Super Bowl. Watch for the YouTube channel because I don't want to give away all of the good interviews that we have coming down. But Kansas City was very open and very accommodating and letting us get in questions. Scott asked questions at multiple different press conferences. So if you did miss last night, we had one of the questions that you asked Andy Reid on Sports. Was it on Sports Exchange or was it on Scott? Was it on Sports Exchange or was it on?
No, I believe it was inside the pigskin.
Inside the pigskin. So it's, and here's one other thing I'm going to say. Kudos to Scott, my husband, because even there was a young reporter at a lot of these press conferences and that came up to Scott and said, you ask very intelligent, great questions.
Right.
And I completely agree. Scott does a really good job. And that's partly why he's been in the business for as long as he has, is because so many people respect him and will answer his questions, but he puts a lot of thought into them. So I hope everybody enjoys that little interview and all the interviews that are coming down the pipe.
All right, let me answer Patty Grimes' question. What from the player that you interviewed shocked you most? I'll give you one right now. I don't mind mentioning it because it'll be really soon enough. Patrick Mahomes and how much he knew about Joe Montana. Nowadays, a lot of players don't know the history of the game, but Patrick Mahomes did know a lot about Joe Montana. And the thing about Patrick Mahomes is people really realize that Joe Montana played most of his career in San Francisco. Few people realize he finished his career with the Kansas City Chiefs. Great question, Patty. Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I got a really quick story for everybody. In the 90s, when I had my TV show on PCTV called Sports Talk with Ralph Williams, I used to go to the Bill Cowher press conferences, and we had this kid come up. He was from Johnstown. It was his first press conference for Bill to at the Bill Cowher press conference, and he said to me and a couple other of my colleagues, he said, what do I need to do here? It's my first time here. And I said, do not repeat anything. Listen to what the coach says and do not repeat anything that he said, because he gets mad when you do that. He said, okay. Well, Bill Cowher come up. He gave the injury update on nose tackle Joel Steed. He said, Joel Steed's out with a knee injury. What do you think that kid asked Bill Cowher? What's the status of Joel Steed? And Bill Cowher just lit him up. He was like, why would you ask me that question when I just told you what was going on with Joel Steed? And I'm like, oh my gosh. I had just told this kid, don't repeat anything he tells you at the beginning, or whatever, so yeah, that was one of my interviewing experiences there for a new kid, or the one that I saw there. So
everybody in our field has an experience. I'm sure George,
yes,
we both, there was a time I didn't even ask a player this. Remember that one GM over at Toledo where he says, you're looking for a story that isn't there? George, I don't mind mentioning that too, because I was trying to get some information out of him.
Yeah.
I said, the guy, all I'm doing is my job. It's as far as you can go, so be it. But
how about the time I covered the Red Wings and the Flyers in the Stanley Cup Finals, and they said, anybody have a question out there? And I says, yes, I do. Terry Murray obviously was the coach. You know what I called him?
What?
Hey, Bryan, let me ask you about so-and-so. He stared me down. He embarrassed me in front of all those reporters saying, my name isn't Bryan. No shit. But he had to stick it to me, man.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's face the reality. I'll defend you on this one. Those two guys are twins, and they look just about alike. So that can happen for anybody. I'm sticking up for you. Just quit while you're ahead, Hightorn.
Thank you.
I got a hockey story. I took Coach or Herb Brooks to the airport when I was driving a cab.
Oh yeah, that's a good hockey story. I like that.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was the Penguins' personal cab driver at one time. I used to take all the Penguins to practice down at South Point when they had their rink down there, and now it's in Cranberry.
Okay, good stuff.
Nice.
I haven't had cranberries in a while. All right, well, let's go back.
Let's get back to candy now.
Sure.
Okay. So, one of my last topics before we get into my town and some other things, I want to talk about Brett Favre. As you all know, Brett Favre, or may not know, is that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. But he recently won a humanitarian award he received at Lee Steinberg's Superbowl party. And part of it is what has come out is that he is, after his passing, he is donating his brain for research for CTE and to see if all of his concussions led to Parkinson's and whatnot. Just some thoughts about him donating his brain to science. And I'm going to start with Ralph.
Yeah, that's it's a good thing to do that. I'm an organ donor, so I have no issues with what he's doing. It's sad to hear that he has Parkinson's. That's Michael J. Fox has that. So I've seen a lot of people that have had that over the years in my personal realm here. But it's an interesting thing. It's sad to hear that he has Parkinson's, and I'm glad that he's doing something with his organs or his brain and things like that. It's great to know that to have somebody else that can live.
George, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is a very serious situation, and when you hear stories like that, of course, it brings to home the fact that pro football, college football, I mean, it is a bit of a dangerous sport. They've made great strides, of course, we know that, with helmets and increased protection for the players and penalties called against defenders who rough up quarterbacks and such. And but it's still a very rough sport. And of course, Brett Favre had a great career and a Super Bowl champion and a great Green Bay Packer legend. And it's always tough to see this. I mean, it really is. I don't know if you caught it, but Michael J. Fox was accepted an award just a few weeks back from former President Joe Biden. He was honored with a wonderful award, which is prestigious, and I just felt so sorry for him. He needed somebody to help stand up and get over to the podium where Biden was giving him the Medal of Freedom. And, things like that. And of course, we saw how it affected Muhammad Ali and others too. But I really think that by him coming out is a good thing, and easy for me to say. But I mean, as a person, that's difficult to share that story, to share what's happened. And obviously, there's a lot to be said for what Brett did. And I do wish him all the best of health and all the. I know it's a tough situation coming out with that, but he handled it like a pro, like a man, and that was really good.
Hensman, your thoughts?
I am glad that Brett Favre is taking care of stuff now, because most athletes that die, they usually, okay, now that he's gone, they usually do stuff right when it happens. Like, it's like, okay, now that he's preparing, he's giving the university permission, he's doing this, he's doing that. And like George said, he had a good career. I can't stand facing him when he was a Packer. He didn't do much as a Jet, but I feel bad because he was part of the bounty in New Orleans during the bounty gate. So
Right.
So I feel bad for him, but I'm just glad he's taking it as a pro and taking it as a man and taking stuff now while he's still alive.
Yeah.
Scott, your thoughts?
Played a lot of consecutive games, about 262 of them. Took a lot of hits as a quarterback. Most quarterbacks wouldn't even play through a lot of what he went through. There's no question about it. He took a beating out there. I'll tell you right now, of all the quarterbacks that I've watched growing up, 3 or 4 of my favorite ones. One of them is definitely Terry Bradshaw. I love Terry big time. Love the clutch player that he is. John Elway is a guy who I've always thought highly of, and Brett Favre. And what do they all have in common? They're in the Hall of Fame. I admire Brett Favre for these two. And yeah, I mean, if you're a divisional opponent, you lose to teams a lot because you see them twice a year. But when I heard that announcement, I made it as a disclosure to my wife, myself. For all you people don't know by now, I have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. I've had some serious brain injuries due to some concussion issues. And I told her I've decided myself, and I am an organ donor, that I will go ahead, and I'm putting this on a live show right now, that I will be donating my brain to science as well. And the reason why I've decided to make that admission is I don't know how I got Alzheimer's disease at the age I did, when the average diagnosis is 70, 72 years of age. And now I'm 62 and I was diagnosed at 61. So I want my wife to know all the answers about what led to it. So it'll just be more of an opportunity. So what Brett is doing to me, I think, is just phenomenal. He could do no wrong in my eyes. I don't care. A guy out of Southern Mississippi who went to the Atlanta Falcons. Jerry Glanville didn't believe in him. Mike Holmgren turned him around, and he turned out to be unquestionably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all times. What can you say about the guy? Can't. So more power to you, Brett. God bless. But yeah, anybody that can go out there and donate, what's my brain going to do when I'm interred? Go away and nobody's going to learn anything about it? That's what a lot of these people are doing. So, more power to them. Great topic, Candy.
Candy,
yep.
Can I say one more thing?
Of course.
As you know, since you're a Packers fan, when Brett Favre's dad died, instead of sitting out, he had his best career game too. And every time he got hit, he got back up and said, "Here I am. Go ahead, keep hitting me." So I just want to add that too.
I want to mention something. Patty Grimes in the chat. When I was a senior, I got kicked out of the Lions camp by Wayne Fonz. Boy, you must have done something for it, Patty. I actually went to school with Wayne Fonz's son, Mike. He's a good guy, and I got to know Wayne and work with the guy when I covered the Lions for a lot of years. But, fans are what they are. Things happen. And then Eddie Fraser, I would put Favre ahead of Rodgers as the QB all day long. Go ahead, Candy.
So I'm going to set the record straight a little bit here because there were some facts that weren't quite right. So Brett Favre played 20 seasons in the National Football League, primarily with the Packers. He had his consecutive game streak was actually 321. It started in 1992 all the way to 2010. It included 297 regular season games, the most in league history. He was also the first NFL quarterback to obtain 70,000 yards, 10,000 passes, 6,000 completions, 500 touchdowns, and victories over all 32 teams.
Excuse me.
He did play his college football in Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles and was selected in the second round of the 1991 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons, where he spent one season as a backup. He was then traded to the Packers. He became their starter early in 92. He revitalized the franchise, and that had been in a period of decline since the late 60s. During his 16 seasons with Green Bay, he led the team to 11 playoff appearances, 7 divisional titles, 4 NFC championship games, 2 consecutive Super Bowl appearances, and 1 championship title. The team's first in nearly 3 decades. He was traded in 2008 to the Jets, where he played 1 year, and he spent his final 2 seasons with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, as some of you compare and contrast, and I know Eddie put Favre ahead of Rodgers, and I would put him ahead of Rodgers too. It's kind of ironic because Rodgers went to the Jets, and now he's been released from the Jets. The question is he going to follow the same pathway as Favre and go to the Vikings yet? Wait to be determined, because we don't know, because he is now a free agent and he might retire, or I really don't think it's out of him yet. I think he's just going to test the waters to see where he might land. But Brett also has come out and said that he thinks over his whole career that he had like 1,000 concussions, which is a lot. And obviously there's different severities. There's times you know it, sometimes you don't know it. But kudos to him for wanting to protect future generations from the game that he loves.
Yeah.
One of the things I will also say is when we were at Lee Steinberg's Super Bowl party, and for those of you that don't know who Lee Steinberg is, he's Patrick Mahomes' agent. There were some different vendors, I would say, at the party, and there were one of them had a different helmet that he wants the NFL to try out to help with concussions. There is also one of the inventors we are going to try and get on one of our shows, both Scott and mine, and he invented a mouth guard or a mouthpiece that is supposed to help deflect some of the initial shock and I'm not as good to explain it as he will be, but it takes some of that shock, and instead of going up into the head with your concussion, it diverts it and spreads it out to your lower, so you don't get as bad of a concussion. But again, he's going to come on one of our shows later on as he's promoting. So we had some great content. My only regret is I didn't see Brett at the party. So this party was held at a museum, 3 levels, outside, inside, a lot of people in there. But kudos to him, though. I really give anybody a lot of credit that wants to go forward and let somebody learn from his demise at that point.
All right, Patty, I can see why Wayne Fonts was a little upset with you if nobody was supposed to be in attendance and you snuck in. That's all right. Sure, your fans, you wanted to do it, but Wayne's an easygoing guy. It's one of those things that if he didn't want you there, he can let you know about it. And I work with Wayne, one of the best coaches I've ever worked with.
Okay. Anybody have any other topics except for my town? Then my town it is. We're going to start with Pensman. What's happening in your town?
I'm going to talk about the Steelers for a little bit, and we touched base on this just a little bit. Go out there, get Justin Fields one more year, and then get Will Howard in 2026. Justin Fields, teach Will Howard how to do the system. No more old people. Russell Wilson, we saw what he did. No more old people. It's time for get a franchise quarterback and go back to Steeler football that Ralph and I and everybody in Pittsburgh knows what Pittsburgh football is all about.
Okay, Mr. George Eichhorn, what's happening in your town?
Lots. There's lots and lots happening. The Red Wings are on a much-deserved break right now. Tampa Bay put a little dent in their plans to go into the Four Nations break with a winning streak. Obviously, they broke Detroit's winning streak. But that game was viewed by so many people. And my dear colleague Scott has told me for years how much the National Hockey League and the national networks need the Red Wings and the original six. And we talked about it on our earlier show. The ratings were just off the charts for Tampa Bay at Detroit just over a week ago. The other one, of course, is the Detroit Pistons. And here we got a team that you talk about teams that have come from nowhere. I mean, my God, they set that terrible losing streak a year ago and worst record in the NBA, worst, of course, in Piston history. And now here they are, a few games above 500. I can't say enough about what their young coach, I was going to almost call him his dad's name, but Bickerstaff, JB, right? JB Bickerstaff
Correct.
has done a really good job in his coaching staff here. And Cade Cunningham is well-deserved. He's going to play in the All-Star game this weekend. So lots of good things, lots of good news in Detroit. And I forgot to mention, of course, that Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond are representing Detroit in the nation, the Four Nation Hockey Showcase. And then, like I said, Cade Cunningham is playing in San Francisco in the All-Star game Sunday. So hats off to those three guys.
Okay, Mr. Ralph, what's happening in your town?
Well, Pensman pretty much sums some things up about the Steelers. Baseball season's here, and as usual, the Pirates have done nothing anyway, and they're going to do nothing this year, as usual. But anyway, one thing I want to talk about is there's a guy here who decided that he had a big tailgate going on, and the parking authority people decided to shut him down because he said he was rowdy and making too much noise. He had dignitaries like Rocky Bleier, former Steelers Kevin Green, and some other people at these tailgate parties. Well, they moved him to another site. Well, now he went out and he bought a billboard, and it says, "To Art Rooney II, fire Tomlin or sell the team." So now we have two teams with two different people putting up billboards, just like they said to Nutting to sell the Pirates or make them a contender or sell them. We now have two. Will there be a third billboard for the Penguins? That's going to be my question here, and that's my time tonight.
Scott.
Well, no Leo Haggerty, no problem. I'm going to Tampa for this one. Former University of South Florida head coach Charlie Strong will be returning to Tampa Bay to coach the Buccaneers defensive line. Strong was at USF from 2017 to 2019, leading the Bulls to a 21-16 record, including a 10-win first season before being fired in year 3. Prior to being at USF, he's a head coach at both Texas and Louisville. So Charlie Strong returning to the Tampa Bay area.
Oh, wow.
As a member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. More power to Charlie. When you get out of college, you might as well go into the pros. You never know what will happen. So I'm happy for him. USF program's in good hands with Alex Golish, but I'm glad to see Charlie going back to Tampa and going to the pros. More power to him. And George, one thing you didn't mention, Detroit. I know I'll be talking about it on Monday's edition of 108 Baseball Talk. As far as the Detroit Tigers, 6 years, $171 million offer to Alex Bregman, no problem. I have no problem with that. That Bregman decided to go 3 years, $120 million. Because when people find out he's not as durable as he's going to get, paying a guy like him $40 million a year with 2 opt-outs, don't worry, I'll bet anything he won't use those 2 opt-outs, because $40 million a year doesn't grow on trees. He took the $40 million a year and ran to the Red Sox, and when he doesn't hold up, they'll do it. Tigers made a noble effort to try to sign him. We'll see what transpires. I have no problem with the Tigers not getting this guy. Back to Strong. He's going with a strong organization with the Buccaneers. Has been winning, and I hope Charlie does well up there.
I think he'll work well with Todd Bowles. He's a strong kind of guy that's been around.
Well, Todd Bowles' route works well with anybody.
Yeah.
Just like Mike Tomlin. Let me tell you one thing about Tomlin. Let's say hypothetically he wasn't with the Steelers and he wanted to coach, he'd be hired tomorrow.
Oh, I know he would.
Okay, so in my town, I am going back to my home state, Wisconsin, going back to Milwaukee. On Sunday, we were in New Orleans. No, we did not get tickets to the Super Bowl, but we were in the town for the week. But another big event happened Sunday in Milwaukee. Houe Brown, longtime NBA broadcaster, retired after 60 years in the business. Kudos to him. He did it on his terms. He decided that in Milwaukee was his last game. That's where he started his career as a coach. Kudos to him. They gave him the game ball. They did a little video tribute. On another note, sad to see Chris Middleton get traded away from Milwaukee. He will be missed on and off the court, as he was a great humanitarian for the city of Milwaukee as well. But one last thing, as we are transitioning from football to now baseball season, pitchers and catchers reported for most of the major league teams this week in the last 2 days. I am proud to say that the Milwaukee Brewers will be supporting, and they will be sporting on their uniforms, a Bob Uecker patch for all of the season in honor of their great legendary broadcaster, Bob Uecker. And they also came out today and announced that Freddie Peralta will be our opening day starter for opening day. So for those of you that like baseball is starting again. Spring training has started for most teams. I think a lot of teams start actually games next week already. And if you are interested, definitely tune in Monday nights on South Florida YouTube channel. We have what's called 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Great programming, great show. Scott's got great guests on the show, so make sure you tune in especially if you like baseball. Anything you want to add to that, Scott?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I feel bad we weren't able to run that show the last couple of weeks, but being on the road, it was hard. But let me tell you, that show's going to, like a lot of our other shows, depending on the season, that is, underneath, this is Baseball Talk, is a show that people should get ready to be prepared to watch. It will explode this summer. A few other programming notes, as I mentioned earlier in the show, External Bum is no more. Sports Rap is and will be rebranding it to Saturday 9 to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Other programming notes. Right, that's right. What did I say? PM AM. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm donating my brain to science people. Okay. Then again, whatever. And then on Monday, on the network, I'm going to have a special Motor City Mad Mouse show. We're going to talk about NHL expansion. But one of the shows I'm really looking forward to the most will be on No Limits. I'll be bringing on an actress, a local actress named Rachel Galvin. Who is she? A former editor at the Deerfield Beach Observer, big presence in the journalism community, and she'll be on there. So what we try to do is when there are non-sports topics available and they're right in my pocket, I'm going to go out there and do it. And it should be a pretty good interview. Hope everybody can join us. We're scheduling that for Wednesday night from 8 to 9, preceding the Sports Exchange Candy. Like I said, we have a lot of good things in the hopper. Of course, we know about 108 Stitches Baseball Talk Sports Exchange. And of course, what you do is a really super job here on Fire Up Candy.
But before we go, I would be amiss because I haven't said it all all show. In fact, I was going to say it when we were leading off and we were talking about Ralph and how Scott has mentored him and how he's teaching him. There is a tool out there that everybody can use that Scott, the Motor City Madmouth, wrote. He wrote a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. The foreword is written also by a panelist here tonight, Mr. George Eichhorn. The book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google and Apple Books. Audio book to come out later this year. We are working on it as one of the many projects I have in the hopper, in the works. But there's also a link to the book on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where most of this panel writes. Some of us take pictures. Go check out our website. Go buy his book. If you want to learn about how the media has changed over the last 40 plus years, if you want to listen to some excellent stories that Scott tells, if you want to see a picture of a young Muhammad Ali with a young Scott, go get the book. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple and Google Books. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you see the red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you have not subscribed to our channel. Honestly, I don't know why you haven't as of yet, but please do so. Share and like us with all your friends and family. We want to keep growing because we have some great programming on our channel. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday and Thursday nights, Sports Exchange and Fire Up. There is no limit to what we're going to be talking about. You just never know. So you have to tune in to find out. Thursday nights on the second episode of Sports Exchange, we normally talk NHL. So for those of you that are hockey fans, they did an excellent hockey show preceding this tonight. Scott, George, and Rod. So go check that out as well. If you like to read stories, go to our website. If you like to listen to podcasts, find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941. If you want to be a guest or you have show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Now I'm going to go around the panel. I want to first thank everybody that's been in the chat room tonight and commenting. We love all the different people in there. And now I want to thank my great panel that's been here tonight. And I'm going to allow them to tell all of you how you can watch them and their channels or get a hold of them. We're going to start with Mr. Pensman. How can people get a hold of you?
Before I do that, just want to let you know that the Yankees are playing the 21st. That's
Okay.
their first preseason game. So you said that the games are coming up. So February 21st, that's the first preseason game for the Yankees. So just want to point that out. But you can find me on you can find me on YouTube on Pensman Sports and on Twitter on X on Pensman Sports.
Special shout out to Jack Warren. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. We try to get to as many comments as we can, but we certainly acknowledge that you're in there. And if you're still listening and watching, much appreciated. Patty Grimes, Eddie Fraser, and the rest that participated, much appreciated. Go ahead, Candy. The minute you're up. But the chat room is important to us too, as you all know.
Yes. Mr. George, how can people find you?
You can find me on the South Florida Tribune website, where I write under the Motor City Tribune. Also write locally here for the Detroit Monitor. And we also have a book. It's called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. Thank you, Candy. There's a nice picture of the book. And look at that. The former mascot of the Red Wings made my book cover. This little guy here is no more. That was an experiment that did not go very far. And here's Gordie Howe and Bud Lynch playing with his beak. I won't say anything more. I won't say anything more what they're trying to do. And the other picture is golfer Bruce Crampton being interviewed by Bob Reynolds of WGR with a younger fellow back there in sunglasses named Paul Carey. So these are the kind of pictures you're going to see. You're going to see a young Scott Morganroth and young George Eichhorn in that book, and even a young Ernie Harwell and George Kell. It's available at Amazon, and Candy puts a link up to my book at the end of my columns that I write. And you could find me at gicorn@yahoo.com, as well as on Twitter or X under Sand G Sports 99. Also, I'm on LinkedIn a lot and Twitter and all the other ones that I mentioned. Good to be part of tonight's show. I enjoy this as well as the football show Inside the Pigskin and anywhere else Scott needs me, especially the hockey show as well. Thank you.
Well, Bob Reynolds made my book with you, pal, with Gordie Howe. I had a busted up shoulder, and Bob Reynolds was the third one as well.
Right. That's right.
I ended up getting another picture with Gordie Howe actually in Coral Springs, Florida, when he was doing a memorabilia show. No sling at that point. He was really nice about taking it.
Yeah.
Bob Reynolds was there with you and I. We were both.
Yeah.
I was there. He's back. You were in the background, and I was with Gordie Howe, and then Bob Reynolds was sitting right next to me. Good stuff. He's a nice guy. We used to watch. He's sitting next to me all the time, and about Sonics over all those good old days.
Good memories. Good excellent broadcaster. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ralph, you've been patiently waiting here in the wings here. How can people find you and get a hold of you?
Well, I have a YouTube channel, Ralph Williams RW Media. Please subscribe. Check out all my programming on there. I'm also on Twitter X. Please follow me there as well. And I'm on Facebook, Tumblr, and LinkedIn. And I also have 2 radio shows on Saturday on 1250 AM and 92.5 FM. The Answer here in Pittsburgh, the Ralph Williams Tony Moreno Show. And I also have Sports Corner Radio Show with me, Ralph Williams, Smoking Jim Frazier, Claudia Rosano, and Luther Dupree. And we also have the new show on Saturday that Scott mentioned with myself, Scott Morganroth, Leo Haggerty, and a guest of our choosing. It is the Sports Wrap. Pensman contributes as well. Candy's been on the show. And George, way back when, was on the show a few times as well. So we'll be having different people on, but it's me, myself, Scott Morganroth, and Leo Haggerty. It's great to have a new name, Sports Wrap. It's a great name, and we're going to keep the show going 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, X platforms, and also on the Huddle Sports Network.
Not only that, the ideas will be coming as Ralph goes ahead and starts to get a handle on Twitter, and I'll be tagging him, and I'm sure he'll be writing down some ideas as he continues to build his Twitter X presence, right, Ralph?
Yes, indeed. Thank you. And also, I want to let everyone know out there that I signed a new contract with The Answer, 1250 AM. So my radio shows will continue for another 6 months.
Awesome.
So
good news.
Great
Awesome.
stuff.
Congrats.
Hello, Tiger Express Media. Glad you're on too.
Thank you.
Scott, anything you wanted to add?
No, you did a great job, Candy. We covered a lot of ground. Glad you got the book in. And obviously there were some important topics to talk about. Not often do we get an opportunity to talk about a country singer like Zach Bryan. You know what's interesting about the Bryan spelling is my middle name is spelled Bryan as well. But how often can you come on a sports show and talk about a country singer? This is one of those unique opportunities where we're able to do it because it's in unquestionably a bucket list stadium for those that haven't been to the Big House. You need to get there. So great opportunity. Seize it when you get it.
One last thing that I did not promote, and I must do so. If any of you out there are interested in watching Chicks Talking Sports, you got to check us out Tuesday nights. Chicks and Salsa, or 3 Chicks in a Pod. We talk women talking sports. You never know what we're going to be talking about, but you got to check us out Tuesday nights. Chicks, like I said, Chicks and Salsa, or 3 Chicks in a Pod. Basically what happened is there was 3 chicks. They started a pod, and that was the first show. And then they added me, and I'm like, well, I'm a 4th chick. Like, how can we be 3 chicks in a pod with a 4th chick? So we came up with the name Chicks and Salsa. So it depends on how many of us are doing it, what show. We keep both of them alive, but go check us out as well Tuesday nights at 7:30 Eastern. But other than that, check out our shows. Watch for our content. We're going to have more of the Super Bowl stuff coming up. Pictures, stories, videos, all of it. Can't wait to share all of that wonderful experience. And I want to first, before we sign off, I want to thank Scott, my husband, for being the guy he is and taking me on that beautiful, wonderful experience. Once in a lifetime experience, I feel. It was just a wonderful vacation, wonderful time. Obviously, all you guys know that I have a love for football. So, what better place to be than in the place that they were celebrating the pinnacle? Yes, maybe the game wasn't what everybody wanted or expected, or some liked the halftime, some didn't like the halftime, but it was a once in a lifetime experience to see all of the people that I saw at the Super Bowl, Radio Row, Superdome on Monday night. Great experience. So thank you.
Superdome, and not only that, you got Bourbon Street, you got French Quarter, you got Jackson Square. Superdome. Doesn't get any better than that. And of course, I did a serene Sunday out in
Biloxi,
Hammond, Louisiana, where he had the Southeastern Louisiana Lions with a stadium of 7,500 people. I did that on a Sunday. It was pretty neat. And that their color scheme was actually green and gold. And I was wearing a USF shirt, by the way. So it was green and gold. So a little bit of synergy there. It's all good. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad Candy had a chance to get to New Orleans. Games are all well and good. Only so many people go. I've covered 4. George has covered 2 games. I've covered 4. But in the end, I think it's all about what you do during the week. Games are an added bonus, but you get everything that you can get. The NFL is really classy about taking care of all your expenses, meals, and so forth, and transportation. All you have to do is get there and do your best work, because that way you want to have an opportunity to be reconsidered again to do this.
Well, and I think when we put up all the different things that we're going to be putting up, one of the videos that I really enjoyed was Scott talked to, because the NFL is really big about supporting veterans. He had on a video 2 veterans talking about their experiences and mental health and everything that goes along with that. He talked to another former NFL player who's written a book and does taxes and accounting now. You're just going to have to wait and watch all the different great interviews he had. I was just in awe of all that he did. So
thank you. Appreciate it. You did great video work to make it all reality. Now everybody will benefit from Candy's video work, and did everything I could to come up with the best questions I get. Looking forward to the feedback and getting it out there as soon as we get a chance.
Exactly. So
I think Pensman has an update for us. I think give us the hockey score.
Well, thanks, George. I want to say, too, if I can add this. As of right now, with 25 shots, USA's up 5-1 right now against Finland. And I wanted to promote this, that since this is going on, I've been doing shorts. So go over my channel, go hit that like button, subscribe. I'm doing the best I can. And I cannot make it up to Canada for those who said that. Go up, and I'm doing the best I can. So I'm going to try to doing this the best I can. This tournament is on next Friday, I think, is the championship. So I will. I'll do shorts. I'll do coverage. I'll do what I can until the tournament's over. So that's why you need to subscribe to my channel, because I'm doing that too.
All right.
Awesome. Good stuff. With that, have a great weekend, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day for tomorrow for all of you that celebrate it. Enjoy and have a great week. We'll see you next week. Good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.